Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are here today in Helsingborg for the 2019 World Classic Powerlifting Championships. This is the men's 59 kilo class. We have 7 lifters out. We are looking at Sergey Fedosienko. He is the multiple-time world champion. Is he the current world champion at the moment, Ryan?
You bet he is. He is undefeated in the 59 kilo class and running a bit of a dynasty, but all dynasties eventually come to an end. Are we looking at the end today?
Well, we're about to find out. The clock is counting down, 2 seconds to go, and we are live. So first man out is Canada's Benjamin Yu. He's coming out for 162.5 kilos. We can see the logos of the sponsors here on the backdrop. We've got SBD, Eleiko, and Uplift sponsoring this competition. Powerlifting Sweden have put on an amazing show, and we are go.
Nicely done.
Yep, that's how you want to open your competition. We've said many times before, the first part of the game is to get one in, and that is exactly what Mr. Yu has just done. Dariusz Wasola now of Poland, coming out for 192.5 kilos.
Only 7 lifters in this flight. It's going to be a really quick turnaround for these guys. If you're not used to it, not acclimatized to such a quick turnaround, you might have to manage your expectations in terms of your weights you're going to hit with the attempts, and possibly pace yourself for the bigger lifts being your thirds, because you got to get there pretty quickly.
Absolutely. This is what we would probably call in powerlifting a quick fire round.
Yep.
They're not going to get any gaps at the end of the round because we do have 7 lifters on the platform.
Yep. You want to the big lifts on the thirds. Some people like a fairly big lift on the second, but the time in between that second and third, if you can't recover, it's going to feel a lot heavier.
Absolutely, and these are the smaller guys, but the weights are by no means small.
That's for sure.
We're seeing over 200 kilos for most of the lifters in this first round of squats. This is the absolute pinnacle of powerlifting here in the IPF World Championships.
Depth looks good from my angle.
Yeah, see the votes are in, and I think the referees agree with you, Ryan.
I would have to say, if that wasn't deep enough, that is no question there. Wow.
Yeah, any deeper than that, and he'd have been sitting on the floor.
And he almost was.
195 on the bar now for Ayupi Hisatsune of Japan. Again, very calm approach, as we often see from the Japanese lifters. I think he's just about got enough singlet and knee sleeve gap there. There has to be a gap between the knee sleeves and the singlet to make sure that there are no supportive garments hidden under there.
He's opening with his previous best. Now, at 22 and competing 2 years, you can expect him to have made gains since then.
So that's interesting. This guy could be competing in the juniors, but he's chosen to bring it to the big league and compete in the open. He must be reasonably confident. Oh, we are seeing, yeah.
Take a look at the other angle here. I was on that line.
Yeah.
It's, in terms of the juniors, when you look at the open, having 7 people in there, and you're eyeing that, you might tell yourself. Now, I just want to draw attention. If you see that profile, take a look at his hair. To make weight, and he's a tall 59er, he had to cut a portion of his hair off, and that's how bad he wanted it, and that's how big he is for 59 kilo.
Oh my goodness, I would, I used to have long hair back before nature took its course, and I would, that would have been a big old step to cut any of that off. These guys want this.
Cole Metz sacrificing to get here.
Yeah, let's just see how the referees think of that. Yeah, they're happy.
Yep.
Coached by Aaron Kamesi there.
And you could tell by the striations in Cole's legs, he cuts water because he is almost bone dry. Now, as time passes, He'll get stronger and stronger as he's more and more hydrated, and he'll probably be a weight class up by the time he's deadlifting, and then maybe cover some ground.
Yeah, so just a reminder, you will see 24-hour or even 48-hour weigh-ins in some sports, not so in powerlifting. These guys have got 2-hour weigh-ins. Weigh-in closes half an hour before lifting. So if you cut down a load of water in order to dehydrate yourself down into a weight class, you do not have a lot of recovery time.
210 kilo here.
Franklin Leon of Ecuador, 463 pounds.
It was quick. Couldn't really see his hips. His elbows came down, covered him on my view.
Okay, I think we're going to see
Looks
the replay now.
Yep.
Yeah, nice and deep. Kind of dropped into the hole a little. And here he is, Sergey Fedosienko of Russia. This is going to be a hard man to beat today.
Yeah, he is really carving out a dynasty here in terms of rivals within his weight class. Not many, but he's turned into an unlikely, unforeseen rival with actually Ray Williams in terms of getting best lifter in the Champions Award at the end of the Worlds.
Okay, yeah, Ray is, now we're on IPF points, Ray is up against it a little.
Yeah, the rivalry might be dead there, but new rivalries pop up. Individuals like Brett Gibbs and Taylor Atwood are gunning for that same title, but...
Sure. So no problem there for Sergey. And we now have Mohamed Lakehal of Algeria. 220 kilos.
13-year veteran. Lakehal is a farmer by trade. Farm boy strong here.
Yep, hopefully he's going to plow a neat furrow of good lifts all the way through the squats.
Nicely done, sir. This is my third session of the day, so I'm a little dry on the puns. This is where you come in, fresh as a daisy, and
I got you, brother.
okay.
Oddly, this isn't the first session you've commented with Joe Whiteley.
That's true.
Although that was my good lady wife. Now, what do you think about the depth there, Ryan?
Yeah, it's right on the line. I'm not quite close, as close. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I was expecting it to be on the line. We'll see from the side view. That was probably just parallel. He's going to have to drop just a stitch below that.
Yeah, so we have to be below parallel here, and you may see a little leniency at some levels of competition, but absolutely not at this level. So that leaves a couple of guys here as we go into the second round with some work to do.
It's actually a pretty big failure rate. If you only got 7 lifters and 2 of them don't make it in their openers. Now, it was on depth, not on strength. We're not foreseeing anybody possibly bombing, but...
No, nobody's struggling here. Not for strength anyway, but... Benjamin Yu of Canada, he's gone up 10 kilos. This is still below his PB, so playing it safe.
10 kilos is a nice jump in this weight class, though. Depth looks good.
Well, that was a fight.
And that's 2.5 kilo below his personal best, and judging off that, he might only have 2.5 kilo more in him.
Yeah, and we've seen all week this is a tough platform. I think some of the ladies this morning had a really hard time.
Yeah, that was definitely work. I wouldn't be more comfortable. I wouldn't be comfortable enough to put more than 2.5 kilo on there.
Okay, Japanese lifter now. Hisatsume Ayumi. Ayumi Hisatsune of Japan, 430 pounds, 195 kilos.
So this was his previous personal best squat, and he's strong. The thing is, when you're handling weight that previously this was your max, you sometimes do cut it short because you are a little nervous with it.
Yeah, you remember last time.
And last time was frightening and nervous, and now it's an opener. Oh my gosh. You just got to steady the nerves, trust the process, and sink it.
I hope he's listening to you.
Well, and then we might have a language barrier, but better for sure. There you go.
Yeah, I think he's taken note of what he was told with the red lights last time, and yep, sure enough, rewarded with 3 white lights. He's in the game.
And you know what? Even though that was his previous best, he handled that pretty well. He's got more in the tank.
Okay, so we have from a junior competing in the Open, we now have a master competing in the Open. This is Dariusz Wusola of Poland. He's 41 years old, but he's chosen to bring it to the Open class.
Yeah, in terms of the spread, you know, at 59 kilos, there's just going to be fewer men walking around lifting weights that are going to fit into that weight class. So oftentimes when you want the challenge, and that's what these gentlemen are here for, you might opt, hey, I'm still a junior, I'm going to go in the Open. Hey, I aged into the Masters, I'm sticking around in the Open.
Yeah, until you're not competitive, why not, you know, take that extra jump and
definitely
bring it along.
The Open is definitely the most prestigious division, and that is where the best of the best are. Unfortunately, the best of the best in this situation, Fedoshenko, in the midst of one of powerlifting's biggest dynasties.
Well, no problems there.
3 white lights, and I'm sure some of these gentlemen, like Cole Metz, are saying, hey, even Rome dynasty fell. They all fall one day.
Look upon my works, ye mighty.
Let's just hope he's not like Samson, because that hair had to get cut.
Well, I'm hoping that he's not lost strength with the loss of hair.
Now a 10-kilo jump. And like I said, the longer this goes, the stronger he gets, the more he rehydrates. You could see how lean he is. He's a little dry, still putting water in his body.
Yeah, for
a
sure.
massive 59er.
Yeah, worth saying we have got 3 guys who exactly weighed in at the weight class they needed. 59 kilos on the button. And oh, no depth there for Cole. Just not quite deep enough. Let's watch the replay.
Yeah, it was border. You know, from the front it looked a little higher, but
okay, so this will be the biggest squat so far done, as long as he pulls it off. Mohamed Lakehal, again, no issue with strength, but just not quite deep enough.
he's a 13-year veteran. I recognize him from the previous World Championships. He's got international competition in him. He's just going to have to sink it a stitch deeper. No major adjustments needed. That's pretty much it, I think.
Yeah, hopefully that's enough.
It was a stitch curved with,
Yeah.
Yeah, his right side moved a little forward on him. Yeah, you see the depth there. And sometimes when the bar moves you up top, it can pull your hips a little around, and it doesn't look like depth again, so you got to be careful.
That's right. And it only takes the center and on one side referee to see it. The other side can be high enough, but 2-1. Nonetheless, he's in there. So that is, we're out for the same weight now for Franklin Leon of Ecuador. His PB's 225, so this should be okay for him.
He did weigh in right on 59 kilo. It's rare you see one lifter exactly on the money for the limit. 3 of them in a row. You know, these were some big cuts for these gentlemen. Not showing any signs of being rattled by that weight cut.
Nope, 2-1, but 2-1 in a good way. And now Sergey Fedosienko, 222.5. Playing that classic game of, okay, I'm just going to put 2.5 kilos on whatever you put down just to keep that lead.
And Fedoshenko is, he's accustomed to Lake Hall taking a gold in squats, and he's looking at the bigger game. I think Lake Hall was there in Calgary, if my memory serves me right. Same situation. Lake Hall positioned himself for gold in squats. Fedoshenko's got his eyes on the total and even the bigger picture, possibly the Champion of Champions award at the end of the event.
Controlled, slow up, but didn't stall at any point. And yeah, that's an absolute masterclass this guy's putting on.
He has, I used to point sticky point. It doesn't fully stop. It just slows, but he's been doing this for so long, and he just keeps the chest up, elbows down, and it's the confidence, knowing I've been here so many times before. I stay in the pocket, and it's going up.
Yep, so I guess that sticking point is just at the point where you're transferring from the glutes and the hamstrings through to the quads, the rec fem. Just the handover from one muscle group to another. But we can talk about it all we like. He's got to stand up with it, and that is what he's done so far. We're into round 3 now. This is 175 for Benjamin Yu of Canada.
Depth looks good. Nope.
Depth was good, but the power wasn't quite there.
And the spotters and loaders, they've been quick. They're actually from Czechia, and IPF brings them to the European Championship, the World Championship, because they're that caliber, and they're going to bring the top-line guys.
Absolutely. These guys are working hard. And do you know, some of them have been training in between sessions. I saw there's a weightlifting gym here in Helsingborg. Some of these guys are weightlifters, and they were taking time out in between sessions to go and train, and then they're back here on the platform.
Yeah, I tell you what, they're not small. By the time the big boys like Ray Williams come around, you're going to want some big, strong lads.
Absolutely. We've got 5 guys on the platform here because we're over 200 kilos now. This is the IPF regulations. Just to make sure, if the lifter can't stand up with it, these guys definitely can. And I think he's cured his depth issue there.
Yeah, no, he has. It was probably just the nerves, but you know what? He handled that third squat right on the money, the bar path straight up and down.
That was Hisatsune of Japan. So Wusola now, Darius of Poland, coming out for 210, 20 below his PB.
Yeah, and I think, like I was saying, in terms of this turnaround, I feel like I just seen him squat. How do you think he feels? When you go back there and you're like, don't go too far because you're going back out in a couple minutes, there really isn't a moment's respite, and the spotters and loaders are so fast, so good, they can have the next weight loaded. There's not a lot of rest, so you got to be conservative.
Absolutely. It's a benefit to us, but I guess the athletes are saying, guys, can you not just fumble those plates a little? Yeah, he's barely going to have enough time to unfasten his wrist wraps and unclip his belt. But fair play to him. He stood up with it. And the depth is fine. 3 white lights. So Cole Metz didn't quite sink it on the last one at 215. He's coming out for the same weight again. I think that makes sense.
20 years old. I don't know how much longer he's going to last in the 59 kilo when you're bone dry and cutting hair off. So he's probably looking to make a statement. Now, this is probably weight he's used to just ragdolling in the training gym, but when you feel a little depleted, sometimes you lose a little confidence and cut depth because he doesn't feel 100% just yet.
Bear in mind he's from the USA, so he could be anything from 5 to 8 hours away in the time zone. So this could be quite early in the morning for him. Now, what do you think this time?
It's borderline.
It's going to be tough to call, isn't it?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yep.
I knew it was better. It's just, and you don't need to go super deep. You just go, yeah, that looked good right there, yeah. It's tough. It's difficult because we're not quite onto the platform where I'd like to see, but 3 whites, he's on there, 215. It's a decent squat he's got in. Come the deadlifts. He's one of the bigger deadlifters right off the bat with his opener, and by the time we roll around there, he could be looking like a 60. He's going to be like a sponge gaining size. By the time he deadlifts, he's a weight class up.
Yeah, so 66s, possibly even knocking on the door of the 74s. We'll see.
Personal best for Franklin Leon. And when you're in the game for 12 years and got a personal best on there.
Yeah, that's work.
It's definitely, I'm expecting work.
Maybe he's going to surprise us. We're about to find out. Oh, come on.
Oh, wow.
Oh, look at this.
Holy moly.
And the smile on his face said it all.
Work is right.
Oh, not so much, unfortunately. We're getting depth and a blue, so that's going to be some kind of downward movement. Oh, but
Let's pay attention to, I don't see the up down. I see a pause. I'm not, well,
yeah.
you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. hindsight is everything. Or in this case, absolutely nothing. 227.5 kilos for Fedosienko of Russia. May not be the biggest squat of the session if Lakehol gets his, but this guy is all about the long game and building a total for the win. And as you say, maybe that coveted best of the best award.
The one thing you got to give Fedoshenko in terms of, and he'll fight for it regardless.
Nope. Oh, and what, that dropped so very quickly. Again, this man's a veteran. That shouldn't rattle him too much, but just holding the back of his neck as he walks off. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, that's a lot of weight to go into the back, basically the base of the neck when you're that size. It's not exactly how he's projecting his thirds, but I wanted to say, in terms of his consistency and performances, even if he shows up the favorite, how do you go so many years in a row never being injured, never having any of the variables affect you to have that off day? The best of the best have off days.
Sure, well, that was only going to stick 5 kilos onto his total, so maybe it's all not lost. Okay, so this is the last squat. This is Mohamed Lakehal of Algeria. He's coming out for 230 kilos, 10 kilo jump.
I'm guessing he was always expecting to end off with 230.
Yeah.
Went back to his team out back and said, "Do you want it?" When they asked, "Do you want to take the second attempt planned or the planned third?" He said, "We're going for the third."
Well, he stood up with it. Now it's nice and smooth. Was it deep enough is the question. And the answer is, I'm afraid not today.
Looking at it, I didn't think so. But
yeah, kind of looked parallel and yeah. So easy to just think, oh, this is heavy. I don't want to sink too deep because I'll never climb back out. And that concludes this session. We have got a 20-minute break for these guys to recover before we go for the bench.
Yeah, 20 quick minutes, and you don't want to go anywhere. It's still going to be a pretty close battle. And as I said, the American, Cole Metz, is gaining bigger and bigger. By the time he deadlifts, he's going to be a 66-kilo lifter. So expect some fireworks come to deadlifts. But first, 20 minutes, we got the bench press.
Okay. Okay, and we are back for the bench press here at the 2019 World Classic Powerlifting Champions. I'm here with Ryan Six-Pack Lapidat. I'm Joe Whiteley. And what do you think, Ryan? We've got some bench pressing ahead of us.
We do, and I tell you what, it's an interesting proposition. You have an individual like Cole Metz, 20 years old, extremely large for a 59-kilo class, and he's getting stronger and stronger as we go. And, of course, Fedoshenko running a clinic as usual. It's going to be interesting.
What can we say? So 95 kilos out here for Mohamed Lakehal of Algeria. This is not a large weight compared to the rest of his class.
Yeah, this is quite similar to his previous world championship in terms of performance. He's a big squatter, got a fair deadlift, but his bench press is a bit of his Achilles heel. Really wants to basically hold serve during the bench, not fall back behind too much, and then hopefully regain some ground in the deadlift.
Yeah. So, I mean, people do say that, well, don't worry too much about bench. It's the lift in which you can gain the smallest percentage of overall total. But we have seen a few times in the week's powerlifting that we've had so far, people falling quite far behind and losing out on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those propositions I get where you can only add so many kilos in terms of a stretch from your opener to your third, oftentimes 2.5 kilo, 5 kilo, depending on the weight class. That doesn't seem like much. However, if you're starting much further back from the pack, you're really losing ground.
Yeah, you've got a lot more to make up in the squat and the deadlift. So he didn't get that one, unfortunately. He's coming out for the same weight, but we have Cole Metz now of the USA. Yeah, and that looked good, I think.
If not sure what Cole's looking like in terms of his deads, he's opening big. It'd be interesting to see if there's any world records possible, but one world record he might have already is the largest 59-kilo lifter I've ever seen at the Worlds. He is big.
Yeah, when you look at the height of some of these guys, and you know, we do say here that powerlifting is a sport for everyone. You've got some very, very tall guys here, and you've got some guys that are not so tall, but this is not a disadvantage in powerlifting. It is all about how far that bar has got to move. And in some cases, you'll see people with very short arms, and those guys are going to be bench press specialists. You see guys with very long arms. Those guys don't have to move the deadlift far. The idea is to reach a balance in all three and walk away with the gold.
Yeah, it's a pretty all-inclusive sport. As long as you're willing to put in the hours in the gym, we'll find a place for you. There are weight classes all over. And in terms of setups, whether it's sumo, high bar, low bar, big arch, low arch, you know, we'll figure that out after the fact.
Absolutely. So that was a good lift for Benjamin Yu of Canada. We have Franklin Leon of Ecuador coming out now for 130 kilos, comfortably below his personal best, which we are told is 142.5 kilos.
Yeah, you really, in terms of your opener, I like when I see a lifter and the coaching staff opt to put in something that they don't think you would ever miss, something you could easily take for reps in the warm-up room. It's still weight. It's not a throwaway lift, but it's nothing you'll ever have to worry about. How many times have we seen a lifter back to the wall, disaster strikes, miss the opener, and now where do you go?
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, if you're not aware of the rules in powerlifting, you can never go down. You can't come out for 130 and go, oh, do you know, I didn't like that. Let's have 120 next time. 130 is, the bar never moves backwards. So you fail at 130 and you have 130 to do again. So this is Ayumi Hisatsune of Japan.
The Japanese known for a very distinct bench setup.
And I think we're seeing, oh yeah, look at that arch.
And he does not disappoint.
No. This guy is a junior lifter, but he is choosing to compete in the Open at age 22.
Yeah, we got a couple juniors in there. Cole Metz as well, 20 years old. And we also have masters, as you stated before. Fedoshenko himself, not exactly a spring chicken, born in '82, same with Lake Hall. But when you're looking for competition, you know, you go to the IPF Open Worlds.
Yeah. And I think Fedoshenko appears only to getting better with age, like a fine wine at this stage.
Yeah, you know what? Here's another thing about powerlifting. a lot of other, physical attributes, whether it's hand-eye coordination, agility, etc., may dim in with age. Strength sometimes just accumulates, like an individual David Ricks, who in his late 50s is breaking open world records and threatening for podium.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sometimes the strength builds up, but the technique and the finesse that you can bring to the platform really, really helps with age. And powerlifting is a very technical sport,
to say the least.
Especially the bench press.
Yeah, in terms of optimizing your levers and optimizing the bar path, you could never get too proficient at that. You go down the rabbit hole and keep looking at your videos saying, how can I get another 2.5 kilo out of my bench, my squat? And then, in terms of strength gains, programming and our knowledge in terms of getting you there only increases as well.
Yeah, I mean, we see world records broken year on year, usually, although some stand for a long time. And I'm just wondering how much the advance in technology has helped with that, because you were talking about videos.
Well,
that
videos.
looked like a good lift for Darius.
3 white lights it is. Yeah, videos, including information sharing in this generation, much easier. You want a coach on the other side of the world who's the best coach in the world. Previous, generations, it just wasn't an option. Now, you can have the world's best coach analyzing the data. There's apps to actually track your bar speed, gather whatever information they want. So I guess it doesn't matter where you are in the world in terms of living remotely. You can have the world's best training. All the tide brings in all ships.
Truth. So this is Sergey Fedosienko. This is a very, very dominant lifter. Hopefully, I mean, just look at his opener, 155. The closest anyone else has opened is 142.5. If he gets this, he is, again, racing away towards that total that's going to bring him the best overall in class and maybe the best overall in this whole competition here in Helsingborg. And there he is with 3 white lights, and he is on the board.
It's what makes his dominance even more respectable is because every year we see the class of lifters going up, and every year in terms of just our overall knowledge, for Fedoshenko to stay on top despite all this and not get knocked off the #1 spot, it's very difficult.
Sure. Well, I'm sure he knows that, and he's got his one eye over his shoulder at all times. But so far, nothing too much to worry about. Okay, this is Mohamed Lekehal of Algeria. He didn't get this on his last attempt. So he is just looking to stay in the game, keep everything controlled. And I can't see anything wrong with that myself. Yeah. There he is.
He's back in the hunt.
Yeah, Cole Metz now. Probably a long way towards being the tallest lifter in this class. And I think although you were saying he's had to cut some hair off in order to make weight, he still has the longest hair in class 2.
Yeah, I'm sure with the scissors. And he's like, okay, take an inch. Okay, take 2. Oh, well, are we at weight yet? You're not going all in if you don't have to.
No, all was not lost. He's not touched his beard by the look of things.
Yeah, I'm glad he got the stop there. Didn't have to make his way to his eyebrows. That's work, isn't it?
It is, but it moved.
3 whites, yeah. But it was definitely work. I would say another 2.5 kilo.
So this is Benjamin Yu. He is coming out for 130 kilos. His bench press PB is 130.5. He's a Canadian like yourself. Is this going to be a national record that he's hit that 130.5 for?
You know what? So I didn't see his class at Nationals. Obviously, with that 0.5, as you indicated, looks like a record of some sorts. I can only assume, and if he hits this with any kind of speed, a Canadian national record, small increment you can rise is 2.5 kilos. So if nothing else, a Canadian national record at stake. Everything
counts. And let's just talk about range of motion here. You could barely see that bar move, and that is well within the rules in IPF powerlifting. The idea is that you move the most weight possible. It has to go from your chest to arms fully extended. If you can take a wide grip and you can get the chest as high as possible using that arch, as you just saw in the replay, then that is a good way to move the weight. And that's a good lift for him, and he's gone for 132.5 kilos. So, as you say, probably a Canadian national record will fall should he get his third.
130 was a little slow and a lot of weight. It's unfortunate. Maybe back home he could chip the record, have an in-between weight, but 2.5 kilo might be a big ask.
Well, I'm sure he's going to try his absolute hardest. 137.5 now for Franklin Leon. And that's quite a contrast. That did not look tough at all. It wasn't fast, but there was no stalling, no hanging around. Quick off the chest.
59 kilo man bench pressing in the 300s on his second attempt. These guys got horsepower, and he actually doesn't have a very big arch compared to some of the competitors.
Sure. IPF Worlds, the pinnacle of classic powerlifting right here in front of you. Live today on the Olympic Channel. And from one thing to another, this is a gentleman, Ayumi Hisatsune of Japan. Quite the arch there, I think it's safe to say.
Yeah, the Japanese have perfected getting every little bit of their levers behind their press, and they analyze it and work on it even more, and look at that.
We hear about marginal gains in many sports, and I think that is definitely the case here. Just every tiny bit that can make the difference. Look good to me. What do you think, Ryan?
I think so. There you go, 2-1. Look at powerlifting in a lot of ways is a game of kilos. In some ways is a game of inches. Maximizing those inches, the Japanese just beautifully done with the bench press.
Sure. Now, 147.5 kilo is now on the bar for Dariusz Wusola of Poland. This is just below his PB. He's done 150 in the past.
20 years, 2 decades in the game. And him and Fedoshenko have done plenty of battles. It must be tough when a guy like Fedoshenko is in your weight class. You know, at some point he's like, hey, can you call him to work sick today? Or
Absolutely. Now you see he's got blocks. They're just being positioned under his feet so that he has the best chance of keeping his feet flat on the floor. The bench height cannot be adjusted, so we're mitigating that with the use of blocks.
Yeah, the benches are relegated or meet regulations, so they cannot be altered, but the blocks can be used. Any weight class can have them.
Sure. I mean, naturally, these guys don't have the longest legs in the world, so they're going to use blocks. But you do see it in some of the higher weight classes. Some people with longer legs, if they feel that they're going to get better leg drive, because the whole body is used in propelling that bar off the chest, not just the pecs and the triceps.
No, it is. If you set up properly, it will not only get the upper body, the shoulders underneath the touch point where the bar descends right below the chest, but also the legs are tight, the whole core is tight, and you could drive with the legs and generate even more force into the bar. Fedoshenko knows all about that.
He certainly does. He's coming out for 162.5 kilos. 15 above what Wusola just did. He's already ahead, so this is not going to move him up in the bench press. But he just wants to pull ahead when it comes to total time. You do not want to leave anything on the table in any lift in this sport. You saw the bar sink quite deep into his chest there.
I also, you know, he's got a little room in him, but I don't think a lot. I think it's slowed. Now, obviously, small adjustments in the bench press can go a long way. I mean, the slightest of changing a bar path can slow the bar speed. You adjust into your third, and it's moving a little faster, but a little slow for a second attempt. Let's see what he chooses.
Sure. So we're now out with Mohamed Kehal. He has gone into 3-digit territory with this lift at 102.5. Didn't get his first attempt. got the 95 on his second, so he's just looking to keep it moving smoothly along now.
He has hit 110, but perhaps, I mean, missing your opener, you have that decision. Obviously, 9 times out of 10, you're going to retake that weight. And then after you do so with one bench left, do you take your plan second or your plan third? Looked like he took his plan second, and looked like it was a good decision.
Yeah, I mean, it generally is. It's very easy to go, well, I'm not going to let that weight that I missed throw me off. But in fact, realistically, it already kind of has. So you're into plan B territory. And Cole Metz now coming out for a 2.5 kilo jump at 122.5. As you said, this man is getting stronger and stronger with every lift.
This will match his previous personal best. Now, previously, several time zones onto the other side of the world, and probably didn't, as 20 years old, he's getting bigger and bigger. Who knows how badly that weight cut was.
Yeah, it's safe to say it was probably worse than it was last year. And no cigar, I'm afraid, on the third bench. You do see this quite often. If you're going to see a third attempt fail, it's more likely to be benched than anything else, I would say. Yeah,
the 2.5 kilo comes on quick, and in terms of the bench press, I do anticipate during the 20-minute break, Metz is going to get even bigger and bigger and stronger. And the deadlifts, he's opening second highest, just 5 kilo away from Fedoshenko, and it's Fedoshenko who holds the record. So it'll be entertaining to see if that record falls, if the gold medal in deadlifts falls, and gets wrapped around someone else's neck without the last name Fedoshenko for once.
Yeah, well, 132.5 is now on the bar for Benjamin Yu, another man who's taken just a 2.5 kilo jump. This will be, if for the Canadian national record, if our calculations are correct, and that is what he holds. And very slow off the chest, but let's see what the lights say. Good enough. 2-1.
3 for 3, personal best, on track.
So 140 coming out now for Ayumi Hisatsune of Japan. 4 lifts to go in the bench press. Currently holds 3rd place in the bench press. But, well, everyone has to get their 3rd attempt. And is he letting that clock run down?
It looks like he might be. I just saw the technical controller taking a peek around to see if he sees a lifter coming. So with 30 seconds left and the type of setup for bench he has, I highly doubt he's going to come running around the corner. What I do like is if you're not going to take your 3rd, don't just have it X'd out, because the class is already very small and the turnaround is already very quick. It's the gentleman's rule that usually let the clock wind down and give the other competitors that extra minute.
Yeah, so with 10 seconds to go, I think it's safe to say that we will not be seeing Ayumi Hisatsune until the deadlifts. We're going to see Leon come out next for 142.5, the Ecuadorian lifter. But you know, if Leon doesn't get this, Hisatsune will still remain in bronze medal position on the bench press.
The failure rates for 3rd attempts are always high. All you can do, you hit your best and see where it stands after the other lifters have their go.
Sure. In many ways, you can't really react too much to what everyone else is doing, and often if you do, that can lead you into deep waters. So it's best to run your own race and not worry too much about what everyone else is doing, maybe until you get to the 3rd round of the deadlift. 142.5.
Ooh, it is certainly worked.
Yeah, this is close stuff.
Wow, I don't think it went up down.
Did he extend his elbows fully? Well,
there you go.
All 3 referees agree that he did, so that is a bronze medal on bench for the Ecuadorian lifter.
Slow and steady, and yeah, just when you thought it might start coming back, he never let the foot off the gas.
No, he didn't. I'm not sure how much that would have taken out of him, but He does have 20 minutes to recover before we go to deadlifts. And Dariusz Wusola of Poland, 150 kilos for a man who weighs shy of 60 kilos. This is, he's already in silver medal position. This is going to go towards his total. And he will be followed only by Fedosienko. Yeah, look at that. No real problems moving that weight.
3 white lights, move well, and Fedoshenko, I thought maybe 2.5, but he's going up 5. Now, having said that, like I said, the room for error on the bench is very small. Any kind of misgrooves, any kind of push out of alignment, you lose a little tension in the back, the shoulders, the legs, and it can look a lot harder than it was. So perhaps he's telling himself, look, I'm good for 5 kilos. Let me get a little tighter. Let me get my bar path on point, and we'll be okay.
Yeah. I mean, this man has a lot of experience, 16 years competing, multiple time world champion. If he thinks he can do 167.5, I would have to say, well, you're the expert, sir.
Yeah, you're certainly going to give him the opportunity anyways.
So, crunch time. And again, the bench setup, as we've said, I really don't think your setup should take more than 20 seconds at the most, because if you get told to re-rack the bar for whatever reason, you don't want to be rushing it. Yeah. And
Well,
Mr. Fedosienko, I bow to your wealth of experience and your 3 white lights at 167.5 kilos. Okay, that concludes the bench press. We're going to be back in 20 minutes with the deadlift, and I think this is where it is going to go down to the wire. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah, this is really where the battle's going to be. I think Cole Metz might make a run for that, possibly the gold and possibly a world record. Fedoshenko usually isn't getting pressed in the deadlift. It'll be a little uncomfortable for him, and hopefully we have ourselves a battle.
Sure. See you soon.
welcome back to Helsingborg, Sweden for the 2019 World Championships of Powerlifting. I am Six Pack Lapidat, accompanied by Joe Whiteley.
Thank you, Ryan. And we're into the deadlifts now. We have 7 lifters on the platform. 1 is a master, 2 are juniors. We were just looking at where the records are. The 275 record for the juniors and the opens was set by Derek Ng of Canada 3 days ago, but we don't think anyone is going to get close to that.
You never know. Stranger things have happened. Derek, by the way, a countryman. He's a Canadian. I'm not mad at that.
So we're hoping these guys are going to surprise us. This is Dariusz Wusola of Poland. He's out for 190 kilos. This is where the round that matters. If these guys don't get these deadlifts in, then everything they have done before is for naught. So they are going to be easy openers, we hope.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
In the squats, or sorry, in the sumo pulls, because of the style, the way the function of the sumo pull is, often it's patience off the floor. So it won't just pop off the ground once you start pulling, but once it starts getting off the ground, the speed quickens and then a lockout.
So Benjamin Yu of Canada, 190 kilos, 30 years old. He's only been competing for 2 years. So he's probably got a long way to go. Are we still thinking this guy's making newbie gains at 30 years old, do you think?
You know what? I almost guarantee it. 2 years in the game, like 30s is still for sure athletic prime, especially for weightlifting. Not at all uncommon to be still hitting PRs in your 40s. 2 years, 2 years, you see a lot of progress early goings.
Absolutely. 2-1, that was a good lift for him. Mohamed Lakehal now is coming out for 215, 474 pounds. The Algerian lifter just wanting to get one on the board to build his total. We'll be in a position to know. Obviously, you're seeing everybody's deadlift ranked to 1, but that is because we have a rising bar and this is the first round of lifting. So we're going to know where we are after the first round. We've only got 7 guys out here, so it is not going to take long.
Yeah, and it's something that both the lifters and the coaching staff have to keep in mind, because deadlifts tax the nervous system the most. It's because you're shifting the most weight. And due to that, with a quick turnaround, you don't want to go too heavy, too close. It makes you actually have to space it out, look at open lighter than we usually do. Second attempt, maybe a little closer to the opener than usual. And it's honestly a all or nothing into the third, and that'll make it a little more exciting in terms of if someone misses and someone hits, we could see a shakeup.
We could. So that was a good lift for the last lifter. And we now are going into Franklin Leon from Ecuador. 225 on the bar. Another lifter, sumo, which means the wide stance and the hands are inside of the knees. 2 styles. And that didn't seem to give him any problems.
No, I like the attempt selection so far by all the lifters.
Yeah. I mean, this is the absolute pinnacle of powerlifting here in the IPF. You would expect that these guys are going to be making sensible attempts. But here we go. This is a World Junior total record for Ayumi Hisatsune of Japan. Now, personally, it makes me nervous when I see guys coming out for a record on their opener. Although with it being a total record.
Yeah, and listen, this kind of just speaks to the volume that we set. He could have just done this, and this is on his opener. He could have just done this in the juniors and picked up the junior world title, but he said, I'll take the world record, thank you very much. I want to swing with the big boys, go into the open, because I want competition.
Now he's just being told, by the center referee that his socks, I think they're actually a little too high. Normally you get told by center referees to pull your socks up. He's got 8 seconds to start this lift.
Just in the nick of time.
And do you know what? That is grace under pressure.
He breathes a sigh of relief. That was like shooting a 3-pointer at the last second and getting it. Openers usually aren't that exciting.
Well, yeah, so just a word about the rules there. On the deadlift, the socks must be all the way up the shins in order to make sure that the bar doesn't scrape up the shins and we don't get any skin and so on onto the bar. But in this case, because these guys are not the tallest in the world, apart from Cole Metz, then the socks were too high.
You know, it's I believe Cole might have dropped his deadlift opener, and that was so smooth. Probably just conserving energy, as I said, because obviously 5 more kilo wasn't going to break the bank, and I think they dropped the 5 kilo. But if they had the discussion, look, if I'm going to get some medals, it's here, and I have to go all in with that third. Don't make me pull too close to my top end 3 times in a row with very little time for recuperation.
Yeah, the body can only give so much, and especially it was such a quick turnaround. I mean, we're seeing that the 20-minute break that we have between classes is actually longer than it's taking these guys to do the lifts in some cases. 2:45 now on the bar for Sergey Fedosienko, multiple-time world champion from Russia. And I think it's safe to say that that is why he is the champion. That looked absolutely business as usual for Fedosienko.
You know, he's usually not overly pressed, and because of that, doesn't need to take big risks. He could stay in the pocket, solidify his wins with some big openers, but they're always within reach for him, and then he could cover ground. It's never really come down to the last dead. However, that's for the total. If he wants to get greedy and tells himself, if this young man threatens for the deadlift gold, I think I might even hold my ground and fight him for it. We'll have a battle.
So 197.5 now on the bar for Benjamin Yu of Canada. We have a sea of green in the first attempt. Everyone is on the board, so this is where the party begins. Everyone looking like they are going to get over a 500 kilo total, which for these guys is no mean feat.
And that's worked. That was a personal best. However, it's only a 7.5 kilo jump from his opener. And again, we just seen him pull moments ago. There was no time at all to recuperate.
True. Darius Wasola coming out for 200 kilos now. This is only going to move him up to 6th place overall. It's 5 kilos below his opener. This is our master lifter. He's 41 years old, choosing to mix it in the open. And 3 white lights is his reward at 200 kilos.
10 more kilo going towards his total. And it looks like he's trying to piece together a day that if some of the other lifters start missing, he could possibly end up on the platform.
This is it. You're kind of gambling on people trying to overreach, getting a little overconfident.
Yeah, the thing with a guy like Fedoshenko on the top, it makes everyone else fight for silver and bronze. If you're waiting for Fedoshenko to miss and end up shaking up, well, you're going to be waiting forever.
Yeah, that's not a bus you want to be waiting for. 225 on the bar. 10 kilo jump for Mohamed Lakehal of Algeria. Should be comfortable. 10 below his PB. However, should is not must. Seemed quite calm with that one.
He'll have a little room to grow. It is 10 more kilos, a decent jump. Maybe a little smaller jump for his third, depending on how close he is for any medals.
And this is Franklin Leon of Ecuador. 235. This is his current PB. Again, though, these guys are still probably going to be improving in both strength and technique year on year.
Franklin is looking to establish himself as the world's silver medalist, and he's building a decent case. However, Metz is gaining steam as well as his Sassoon.
It will be really interesting to have some scales out there and see how much Metz now weighs. Yep, he's taken that one. 3 white lights. So 240 now goes on the bar. This is for Ayumi Hisatsune. World Junior total record once again for Hisatsune. Just as we say, these guys are pushing the boundaries every single year when they come out and compete.
This is 10 kilos towards his cause, and he's in the midst of a battle. Him and Metz, if either one of them wants to finish on the podium, and right now they are neck and neck, and possibly find their way into a silver position, these second attempts are going to be very important to add those kilos.
I think it's probably safe to say that he's got his sights set on the silver medal rather than the World Junior total record at the moment.
Well, I tell you what, he can't focus too much on the silver because he might even get bumped off the podium altogether. There's a bit of a traffic jam onto that podium.
Well, he's pushed the record on there. But however, Cole Metz, these guys are taking the records. We've got a backwards and forwards here. Cole Metz, quarter of a metric ton here, 250 kilos.
This is a big deadlift. And Cole Metz and Hisatsune are probably the best 59 kilo juniors in the world. It's almost like they're battling it out. A little junior 59 kilo battle within the open. And look at that. The engine is turning on.
Yeah, I mean, he was shaking a little, but he was rock solid at the top.
You know, and some guys, that's how they do it. When the engine turns on and the nervous system firing, they're going to shake a little, but the bar speed never slowed.
No, I mean, if you remember a lifter called Tom Martin, his lifts he would shake and shake as he went up and then lock it out as solid as a rock at the top. And, you know, it is absolutely no problem for these guys. 262.5 now. Sergey Fedosienko from Russia. His deadlift PB is 274 kilos.
He might want to take Derek's world record back. It depends on how this moves.
He obviously can't take the junior record, being 37 years old, but he can take the open record back. Oh, no, it just kind of went down. That was a grip issue by the look of it. Hopefully his calluses haven't come off, because that could be a big problem. But
and I tell you what, the door has swung open in terms of the deadlift medals.
Absolutely, yeah. So we've got two guys with their third attempts challenging for that, because Fedosienko currently is sitting at a best deadlift of 245.
Now, does he move up in this final attempt?
Depends on how he felt that grip went. If he just felt it slipping and he feels that he can hold on to it a little tighter, then he's probably going to just stick a little more on, maybe only 2.5 kilos. But no.
Now he can.
Playing it safe.
He has put in 262.5, but he's allowed to change it twice. Should be noted, if Metz hits his 265 final, he takes the gold medal, and I can't remember the last time I seen Fedoshenko not take the deadlift gold.
Wow.
We wanted a deadlift battle between these two, and it looks like we got it.
Honestly, never ever write anything off in powerlifting. And that just was not moving for Benjamin Yu. I think he has found his limit. Maybe 200 would have gone, but I'm really not sure.
I think it's a turnaround. 5 kilo isn't huge to break the bank, but with a turnaround like this.
And here we go. This is Darius Wusola. This is for the world M1 total record. So at both ends of the spectrum, juniors and masters, we are seeing the world total records being challenged. That is, of course, the total sum of the bench, deadlift and squat added together. This sport never ceases to amaze. And look at the supreme focus on his face. He knows this is important. Just giving himself as much time as he possibly can. Oh, no. Not today. That's leaving him with a best of 200. So the world M1 record is safe for the moment. 240 kilos on the bar now. This is Franklin Leon of Ecuador.
And it's going to put Cole Metz in a bit of a predicament. They have to have a conversation. If Leon pulls this, his total will be 602.5. Currently, Cole Metz 265 final would put him at a total of 600, but it'll net him the gold over Fedoshenko on the deadlift. He's got to ask himself, do I pull more than I need for the deadlift gold, which is a massive achievement, defeating Fedoshenko anywhere, for the silver overall?
Now, it's worth remembering as well that both Leon and Metz weighed in at exactly the same weight. So the first guy to the number takes the prize. Am I right?
You are, sir. And I'm interested in which one means more to Metz. I think any win over a dominant guy like Fedoshenko is huge. Although usually I would say go for the total medal. Well, he did his part.
Okay, Metz. The ball is firmly in your court, sir. Are we going to see a coach coming out with a change of attempt?
You know, for me, if it was just me, I think having that, saying I came in silver to Fedoshenko, or saying I went into the deadlifts and I took Fedoshenko's gold. First to do that, and I can't remember if it's ever happened.
I would always say shoot for the moon. You know.
Yeah, I mean, usually I would say overall total podium, but in this case, who knows? Well, it depends what means more to him.
The battle is really hotting up here in Helsingborg. 59-kilo men. And here comes Lakay Halbor, just too heavy, unfortunately, on the day. That was a big old jump at 242.5 from 225, especially considering he only went up 10 for his last. So, okay, Ayumi Hisatsuni. World Junior total record up for grabs once again. I think he had it, Metz took it, and he's saying, okay, I would like to walk out of here with that record if you don't mind, Mr. Metz.
On top of that, he does want to, if temporarily, move himself into bronze medal position overall. So he's going to take a step onto the podium with 2 more lifters left to go. He will nudge ahead of Metz if he hits this, as well as take Metz's world record, but Metz still has the final say.
Yeah, we have a little back and forth going on here, and
don't mind a little rivalry between these young men. They are the future of powerlifting.
Absolutely. They're going to bring this into the into the next year's competition for sure.
As long as Metz can still make 59 kilo.
Well,
nicely done.
Okay, so let's see how that looked. I think it was good. It was indeed. Okay, yeah, so Metz has gone for 255. He will take that record back.
He'll take the record back. In total, it'll put him in bronze medal position. In deadlift, if temporarily, he'll have gold if Fedoshenko can hit 262.5. So I guess he's saying I would like a medal overall and potentially a gold and a record. Not a bad deal.
Gutsy stuff right here in Helsingborg for Cole Metz.
I thought 265 might be a big ask anyways. I was assuming it was a placeholder.
Oh, no, I think that was just a little too much.
Yep, and I think we saw the end of Metz's 59 kilo run. That's definitely showing you how much dehydration has affected this young man.
Yeah, absolutely. So that means that Fedosienko is coming out for 262.5, a weight he failed last time because the grip on his right hand let him down. This is not going to affect his total. He is already world champion at this point, but this is going to take the gold medal back.
Yeah, Metz's 250 is still the biggest pull we've had.
And that was set in round 2.
So he still could leave with the gold medal around his neck and defeated Fedoshenko for it.
A nice way to exit the weight class if your assessment is correct, and I think you're probably right.
I would be.
You've got some years of experience commentating on this sport.
Well, I would be shocked if I saw Metz want to go through all this again to make 59. You can clearly see he's not feeling the greatest.
But what price winning? You know, he might not feel great now, but in a week he's going to have forgotten all about it and going to go, do you know? Just maybe.
I'll buy you a coffee next Worlds if he shows up 59. And there you go. Whoa. So
well.
Fedoshenko, he is the world champion, but Metz, he was eyeing that deadlift gold, and it wasn't the way he had foreseen getting it, but it's around his neck.
So, you said you've not seen Fedoshenko defeated and not leave without a gold medal. Well, history is being made right here in Helsingborg at the IPF 2019 World Classic Powerlifting Championships. What a day.
It was a battle. These guys gave everything they had. If nothing else, and this is Metz's last 59-kilo competition, he could say, I took Fedoshenko's deadlift gold medal. And Fedoshenko, what can you say about that? Running a dynasty in the 59-kilo class, showed some chinks in terms of his grip, a few chinks in the armor, but by no means enough for him to be knocked off the podium, and the dynasty continues.
Classic stuff, and we've got days to go.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the medal ceremony.
Cheers.
Where's the medal? Medals. Ah, there.
Third position, result 220 kilos from